back to the Tea with Jenny, and today I'm here with Jonathan Delgado. He is the creator of Geekvised.
Yes.
Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thank you for having tea with me.
Thank you for bringing the tea and having me on this today's episode.
Okay, you ready to spill the tea?
I'm ready to spill the tea.
Let's go. So tell me a little bit, what is Geekvised? Like, tell me the origin story. Where did Geekvised come from for you?
I mean, originally what Geekvised, the whole intention of Geekvised is not to be a production company, because that's what I do on my own. Well, at the time was freelance and now with agency. So it's never to be like somebody's production company, but not to say that we didn't push that with certain comic book artists and comic book writers. But its intention is to create our own content that either we have a platform that we can stream on ourselves, like either via YouTube or whether it's Vimeo, whatever, or even the website. That's the whole main agenda. Or we sell the IP to Netflix and Hulu, whatever it can be. That's the main agenda, to create our own original content, tell our own narratives, even probably like shows that deal with cosplayers or even shows that deal with comic book artists, writers, etc. That is the main agenda. And how that came to be, well, is that I can say that majority of us always wanted to either direct our own films, direct our own projects, and not just direct our own, project, but have creative control. And that's the whole agenda of Geekvised. It's pretty much to make our own Hollywood, per se.
Nice.
Hollywood still pays the bills. Working with other people still pays the bills. So I wouldn't mind working with Hollywood. But at the same time, I do strive to create pretty much my own Hollywood with Geekvised. So, that's pretty much the whole agenda, is to create our own content, create our original content. Also fan films, because we are a fan of comics. We are, how do I word this? This project, a lot of these fan film projects are made by comic book artists, for comic book artists.
So that's what you would say, it's like for geeks made by geeks.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
100%.
So as an artist yourself, like, how did you get into filmmaking, and was there a moment where you were like, I want to be a content creator for the rest of my life, like this is what I want to do?
So when I was younger, I wanted to be an anime artist, because I used to draw.
Nice.
I used to like drawing. Every time I used to draw, I used to think of, I started visualizing how they would run, how they would attack, their backstories. I would create a little story and then have like a character board of what everybody would look like and their powers and stuff like that. So I always wanted to do that. Around high school, for some reason, I remember it was the movie Brotherhood of the Wolves, the French film, and it was something that I did, but I didn't realize then in that movie that whenever time I watch a movie, when I saw the fighting scenes, like, oh, I would have done it this way, or I would have done it that way. And then my conscience said, maybe would you like to be a director? That's what my conscience said. And then it kind of hit, and I'm like, coming from visualizing how a cartoon is going to pretty much the scenes, the shot, the story, to a live action, it was kind of like, yeah, that sounds really cool. And by that time, I was already like almost senior, so I only got a chance to take one TV class. And that TV class, I was like, yo, this is fun. But before that, I had enlisted in the Marine Corps. So I did that for 1 year. I liked the idea of it, and then I went to the Marine Corps for 4 years. And in those 4 years, I kind of put that behind me. And it wasn't until the last year of pretty much my enlistment that I said, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to do another 4 years. If I do another 4 years, I'm already 8 years. I'm already halfway retirement. Might as well stay. So if I do another 4 years, stay in the Marine Corps or get out now and do this. During that time, the new GI Bill was a post 9/11 GI Bill, which really, really pretty much paid for your school. And that was coming out, that was being talked of during the time that my time of enlistment was coming to an end. And I wasn't really thinking about it. But then there was a gunnery sergeant who kept talking about it. And I was just like, you know what? Let me find out. So I reached out to the Art Institute. They were accepting it. And at that point, I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So that's how I got into film school. And within film school, I developed a lot of good relationships. And those good relationships is pretty much the people that I work with now. There's the people who refer me within projects, the people that I work with. So that has developed a really good relationship and has built what I do now in the industry. I know there's people who kind of resonate the whole thing, like you don't need film school, which is true.
Right, yeah.
It's true. It's you can, but you also what I got from film school was the relationships and also the knowledge. But I want to say mostly the relationships that kind of push forward of what I do now.
Right.
And those who believe that you should go to film school, I do believe that you don't have to go to film school. But here's the thing: you have to do. You have to go to a production company or a production at moment. Because I know people who have done this and they're very successful in this career now. They went up to people like, hey, this is what I want to do. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm here. If you need help, just tell me, I'm there. And all right, come tomorrow, 5 in the morning. Boom, they show up at 5 in the morning. They saw the work etiquette. They saw that they didn't know exactly what they were doing, but they were quick to learn. Boom, they started getting hired. And now they're successful camera operators. So you can build it, but there's people who kind of just wanted to come to them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really looking for it.
Yeah.
So you have to go and get there. And in this industry, unfortunately, it's a lot of free work that you do have to do. As a matter of fact, I still do it. You know, especially with Geekvised, I still do it. I still, hey, what do you need? And it's building the relationships, building that. I guess building relationships and seeing what people, showing people what you can do. So
it does take relationships in this industry for sure. And I think the biggest thing, like you said, is you got relationships from film school. And I know, like, so many people are like, you don't need film school, you need film school. So you would say that relationships was, and of course, like, the education, but relationships is the biggest
key.
part. Yeah.
Is the key. You can't do it without film school, but be ready to be like, what do you need? Mm-hmm. Don't ask people, this is what I need. It's what do you need?
Yeah.
See who's better than you and tell them, what do you need? And I did that for quite a while. And then here I am. I mean, you know, I'm here building my own self. I got people who really help out. I got really good relationships who are there, but like, yo, what do you need? So, you know, and this is people who are in the industry and vice versa. I ask them, what do you need? You know, so, you know, it's a never-ending relationship building and relationship keeping.
100%.
Very important.
100%. So is there something that, going off of that, like, what have you learned in that whole process that you wish you knew before you started, maybe when you were in high school, like before you got into filmmaking and the career?
So I guess for me was asking myself, at the beginning, I'm not going to be good enough yet for that. And, I need to learn more. So that idea is respectable in a sense because you yourself are saying, no, I need to be better before I can do that. But one of the things is that it's never going to be better. It's a learning experience. Even producers that you know now that are big pretty much took a risk. Mm-hmm. They created something and they sometimes it kind of fell on their face, but they learned from that and they're quickly able to shift. So it's about saying, I might not be good enough to understand that yet, but I will. Let's try it.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the things that kind of hold me back because I always wanted to create my own stories and stuff like that. But the idea was always, no, I need to be better. So therefore, I need to always develop it. So for many years, I kind of held myself back, just trying to master it, trying to fine tune it. And instead of doing it and fine tuning it there, which is a lot better, you know, you fuck up, you learn from it.
Yeah.
Then rather than kind of playing it safe in a sense.
Yeah, I like that. So how did, like, I know comic books is what has, like, inspired you and influenced you a lot in your work. So can you tell about how those two worlds, like, combined with the filmmaking and comic books and then it created Geekvised in a way?
Sure. I mean, it's funny because, I mean, now when I talk to people and I know about comic books, I know about the history, all this knowledge I didn't know about then 4 years ago. And like I never consider myself geek because I wasn't big on anime. I knew a few anime movies. It was kind of like I was in the middle. I wasn't geek enough for the geeky people, and I was too geek for the non-geeky people.
So you didn't fit in either.
So I was like, I don't know what to identify myself as. So I never really considered myself a geek then, but I still like the whole superheroes, the whole make-believe fantasies, and, you know, just telling a story that is far-fetched from our reality. which is what Steven Spielberg had created, is what George Lucas have created, and they were big fans of that. They were like, a movie. Not to say that that's not what a movie is. Not like Scorsese who says cinematic movies, superheroes are not films.
Right.
But a movie should be able to escape you from a reality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you sit back and picture another reality, and that resonated a lot to the point that that's all I want to do. It doesn't always have to be superhero, but just a completely shift in reality.
Another universe.
Yes, another universe.
Cinematic universe.
Yeah. and with the comic book, like I said, it wasn't until that I started doing Geekvised and I got the opportunity to interview a comic book artist. Actually, it was the first one was a comic book writer, which was Scott Lobdell. At the time, he was the writer of Red Hood and the Outlaws, which I didn't even know. That's how much comic book knowledge I didn't even know. I didn't even know until it was Tim that I reached out to Tim. At the time, he was a comic book owner. And I think we had talked and he told me about it. I said, okay, cool. I would like to definitely interview you if you get the chance. So he got me the interview with him. The writer was cool with it. And it wasn't until I was doing the research, because I didn't know nothing about the person. I'm like, oh my God, this is the comic book. And I'm a fan of Red Hood. And I didn't know that he was the one who pretty much was writing Red Hood's backstory and pretty much the evolution of what's going on to this day.
Oh, no way.
So I didn't know that until I met him, and I'm like, crap. And I have the first issue of that comic book, Red Hood and the Outlaws, and I couldn't find it. So luckily, I don't have it here. Daniel had given me the Red Hood helmet, so I took that to get signed. But that's how much I knew about comics. I didn't know much about comics, because I bought comics back then was to draw them.
Yeah.
Was to catch them, because I pick up a comic, I didn't know what the hell was going on. You pick up a comic now, you don't know what's going on. And I could see why people don't get into comics, because it's intimidating. It's like, where do I start? I don't know what's going on. If I pick up a comic, I read it, I'm lost. So it's a format that it's you have to know people and get involved talking with them, and they can, hey, yo, check out this new series you just started, and then pick up the first issue.
But yeah, no, that's awesome. Like, I love how you have like honed in on your niche, like, and you really like you said, you've worked with cosplayers, you've worked with comic book artists, like people in this community that really value like your work. And like, what would you want like the people in this community to get from your work, like when they watch it or even when they work with you? Like, what do you want them to experience?
I want them to experience in a way where and because even though now a lot of people have come out of the closet for the whole geekdom, you know, because growing up in high school, nobody ever talked about superheroes.
Yeah.
Nobody talked about nothing. But it's funny because I still can't stay in contact with some of those people from high school, and I see them now talking about the comic books that they had in the past. I'm like, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
So because before then it wasn't cool.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know? It wasn't a cool thing, and that has kind of broken away from it. But there's still people who feel like that. So what I want to take away is like, have fun with it. Who cares what people think? Have fun with it, enjoy it, and even the people who are in the geek community, let others have fun with it, because unfortunately there is that kind of drama within certain people who feel like they own the Tony Stark look, or they own the Captain America look. Yeah, it's human nature. Human nature. People, no, that's my favorite color. You can't wear that color. That's my favorite color. So step away from that. Have fun with it. Enjoy people's approach. I'm a fan of people being a fan of stuff. So if you're a fan of something, I like to capture and tell me your story behind it. And I got a chance to, like, when we done cosplay stories, people felt like they became more expressive. They were able to be themselves in this community. So it was cool. So that's what I kind of want people to get from it. Just have fun with it. Be yourself.
Yeah, and I love that, because my first convention, like, I actually went with you.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You were,
it was you,
and,
Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were filming like all these different cosplayers, and I just loved the feeling that you brought, you know, and in the final product, it looked amazing, and it made the cosplayers feel like, oh my God, like, it's like I'm starring in my own movie, you know, like, so I really loved that experience, and I don't know, hopefully we get to do that again one day, but
soon enough. So
yes. What's your favorite like experience that you've had filming, whether it's with cosplayers, whether creating your own your own films, do you have like a favorite moment where you're like, oh my God, I want to do this forever?
La Sicaria. No?
Yes. When I was lying in a pool of fake blood, that was my favorite.
In the cold.
In the cold.
Cold night in Florida.
In
Actually,
Florida.
of all nights, it was a cold night.
That scenario makes no sense because like we're in Miami, Florida, and we're in a warehouse where normally I'm sure it'd be like 100 degrees.
So it was kind of like a blessing in disguise,
Yes.
to be honest.
It was. So I was laying in a pool of cold blood. So if you haven't seen that film, please shout out that film. Tell them what that film is about.
So it's a film adaptation of the comic book Berserker, and at the time we didn't know much about it. It was like there were interviews, like New York Comic Con did an interview with Keanu Reeves and the crew behind Berserker, and I watched it and I took from that and just kind of created our own adaptation. Which, funny enough, we were pretty much close on it. The first issue he's picked up by military people, which in this comic book he's picked up by the agency.
Yeah.
And the whole flashback scene of him going, to like showing different things of Spartan, military. There's actually a comic book cover that I really like, which is him, and then on side of him is like Trojan him, Barbarian him, and there's different things. I was like, okay, so we were pretty much right on the mark within that.
Yeah, with that flashback scene, you guys got to check it out. I will put the channel link below somewhere over here. And you might see a familiar face in there, just saying. But that was a fun experience for me. It was really fun. And like I got to do fight choreography, and you even with Eduardo, the other actor, we created like the fight choreography, or you guys created the fight choreography. I just tried to figure it out and learn it. And like so you have like all this like experience and knowledge where I'm like, oh my God, like he could do like create fight choreography too. I don't know, did that come from? Like just watching the films and like being inspired by different films, or like I don't know, because even I was like impressed. I'm like, look, Delgado, he could do it all. He's anything, whatever, like multifaceted.
No. So I mean, as far as the fight choreography, it comes a lot from Eduardo. Mm-hmm. He's really able to come up on the spot, and I would say, like, for example, with Berserker, I was like, yo, give me constant action, none of this pause or anything like that, just constant action. And he will come up with something, and I'll just give a little twist. I'll be like, yeah, what if we'll end up in this kind of movement. So okay, what if we do this and that? And so a lot come from him, and he was pretty much the first one that I did a fight choreography with. So him and my evolution have been together.
Yes.
From Cheat Code to the Nightwing fan film to this one. And, it's something that you see it. You see it in what he has executed and what I have executed from a director perspective. And we're going together in synchrony. His ability to come up with nice choreographies and execute them, and so.
Yeah, and you see it, like you could see all of the films are amazing. I could see the progression of like how it's shot and how the fight choreography is done. Like, I think it's amazing, and I can't wait for you guys to keep creating that stuff because I love it, and all the sriracha everywhere. If you guys don't know, that's the fake blood, okay? So there's a lot of sriracha in Geekvised films. So I want to know, like, what would be the ideal superhero or maybe villain that you would love to create a film about? And I think I kind of already know the answer, but I'd like to know.
I don't know. So like everybody, I would like to create a Batman film and superheroes, but for me, the approach of everything that I've done and everything that I will do is just know one thing: everything has been done. Don't try to reinvent the wheel, but has your perspective has been done. So it's all about the perspective.
Like your lens, like
yes.
On it, yeah.
So in every film is like that. Every iconic film that you see, to this day, is like, okay, if you break it down, that has been done, but the perspective of it, the approach coming from the right or coming from the left. So as much as I would like to do a Batman film, a lot of people have done Batman film. A lot of people have done Superman film, stuff like that. So it's really, it's, how can I say this?
Like a different perspective on the story, or
yes.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the one I just talked to you about, or?
Yeah, but I don't know if we can talk about that yet, but yeah, okay.
So I do want to do, I mean, so I love to do fan films. I would love to do as many more. But the conflict that always kind of holds me back from executing as many as I want, which is a good conflict, is the idea that has been implemented. Thank you, by the way, by Todd McFarlane, creator of Spawn. What he said is like, stop creating content for others. Start creating your own content.
Yeah.
Because he was, and not
That
only
you
was he a
like.
big advocate about it, but he literally did it. He literally, at the time, because he was fed up with what they were doing with artists and writers, he said, "Fuck you, Marvel. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna create my own thing. I'm gonna take 5 guys with me." And he took Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, and I forgot the other 2 names, but Image Comics. It's pretty much Image Comics, and they created an industry that pretty much was like, what? How are you gonna compete against 2 big dogs? And at the time, they were beating them. It became such how do you call it? Elusive. Like
Yeah.
big monetary gain.
Yeah.
But he was big on that. He was like, start creating comics for others, start creating stories for others, create your own stories. So that's the conflict that always come up. It's like, it is time to create my own IPs. It is time to bring my own visions to life. And that's what happened with Cheat Code. Even though Cheat Code was a spur of the moment idea that came up, it was a talent thing that was happening. And before Berserker, I always wanted to do a bloody fight between an immortal versus an immortal, and think of it like UFC, but and basically they just parent each other. They can't really kill each other. So like jaw is dislocated, freaking head is crushed, and I always wanted to do that. I didn't know how to do that. Didn't know how to execute that, and I'm still learning. But we're doing it, so fucking do it, learn it, and that's what we're doing. So with Chico was like, let's do it. So we did a fight choreography. That was my first time seeing what I needed to be done from my perspective. Like giving it time to do the choreography, because the choreography was on the spot. Even though Sergio Luo is fucking phenomenal, but I'm sure if I would have planned it before, have him come in, do practices, it would have been amazing. But that was pretty much the first IP for Geekvised, and we're gonna keep pushing that. But later on, because that's kind of be like a little baby that I'm building, but we do have other IPs that we want to bring to life. So with that being said, it's the conflict of fan film or IP. So right now I'm in the conflict of creating. I can't do both at the same time because then you half-ass it. But either do a fan film now, because I will have to invest money. The fan film that I have in mind, I have to invest money in it, or take that money and create your own IP.
That's that's tough decisions for sure. And is there one that you enjoy creating more, or would you say it's equal? Like, do you enjoy creating the fan films more, or like your own original?
I think I like the fan film more, because the fan film people will definitely enjoy. But we're in a day and age where people enjoy new characters, and you see that in the independent comic book. Independent comics have been on the rise, like nonstop, and it's constantly rising, because people. I do say people are getting tired of Batman. Batman will forever live, and the comic book here, especially with the cinematic universe. But what about different stories? Like even The Walking Dead, just a whole bring a different perspective of the zombie world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and like, how is the fan base like? Because fans are, when it comes to like certain characters or certain stories, like they're very like adamant of like, this needs to be told right, or you know what I'm saying, like they're very attached to these characters. So have you like, what has your experience been like with the fans, with your work, whether it's like the original work or fan films? Like, how has the response been for you?
No, not bad. I mean, I try to keep it, like, I'm not gonna make Red Hood have super strength. I'm gonna keep it within I believe in rules,
Mm-hmm.
and as far as storytelling rules, you don't want to make characters just that invincible or that perfect because they become boring.
Yeah.
So the rules already set up for Nightwing and all these characters, but at the same time, what can I do to make it my own? You know, add that
Okay.
little touch. So I would never go far from it, but like I can't really afford comic book accurate suits, so I know I may have to see what's available and then put that there. And if anybody gives me shit for it, it's like, well, listen, I'm not Marvel. When I
Mm-hmm.
do it, it's not set in stone. It's not gonna be a following movie of it. So therefore, if you watch it, cool. Thank you. If you don't watch it, well, thank you.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's not something that it's set in stone. But I wouldn't go crazy of it because, like I said, I'm a fan of rules. So I want to make Nightwing, the ability to fly. Because that's not him. I like the rule that he's just a person who needed to get out of his shell, needed to get out from this boy wonder thing, and just say, "Fuck it, I'm a leader. I'm gonna create my own thing, and I'm just gonna beat some ass." So that's the rule of Nightwing was established, and that's the rule I like. So I'll keep that.
I like that.
Yeah.
So in order to create these films, obviously you need to be a fan first, right? Like, like like I think you need to be somewhat of a fan of like the comic books and things like that in order to create it from that authentic place. Because if you don't, no, I mean, hey, if you're like, oh, like you see one comic book based movie, like yeah, you can create from it. Like I think that's great, but I think like you're saying, to know like the rules and like the base of who these characters actually are, I think it's maybe important, right, to like know those things,
No,
right?
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that you have to be a fan just to do a fan film because you invested so much time in it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not a fan of it, you're gonna may not even finish a project.
Yeah.
So being a fan of the character and the storyline is first for doing the story,
Yeah.
and then being able to, and even if you don't know, like for example, I still don't know a lot of characters, especially when it comes to cosplay. When I do the cosplay characters, I always ask them, hey, what would this person do? Would they do this kind of pose? Would they do like
Right.
a karate or kung fu pose, or would it be more like conservative and be like just like this, like a brawler? So I would ask them on the spot, because I don't know. There's a lot of characters I don't know.
When it comes to making the films and really making any type of content, a lot of times people see the end result. It's like this amazing, beautiful cinematic piece, and they don't know like the work that goes involved in it and creating it. So tell us a little bit about your process, like from maybe like pre-production all the way to like distributing it. Like, what's a short version of like the process that you go through?
Um, definitely, definitely rewrite. Always rewrite. Never fall in love with the script the first try because you'll see that it's not natural at first. You'll see that matter of fact, even on the day of production, it was like, actually doesn't sound right. Let's get rid of that.
Yeah.
And it happens. But at least you already went to 5, 6 times. Hell, even 10 times. That's right. Don't worry about rewriting because the famous saying is rewrites. Stories are made in rewrites. That is true.
Yeah.
Because the first time you just write. Your brain is not thinking logistically. Your brain is thinking what is the interaction, not necessarily what's going to be said. And sometimes when you look at what's being said, it sounds unnatural. Like who's going to ask somebody, "Oh man, I haven't seen you for so long. How's Tommy doing? How's the wife and kids?" It's like, well, you haven't seen me for so long. Like, how do you know about that wife and kids?
Yeah.
I just had it last week.
Yeah.
So, but that's fine because then you'd be like, okay, I want to bring back a little bit of the idea was to get know more about the character's personal life from this conversation, but bringing the whole, hey, how you been doing is a little bit unnatural. So, it's like, oh yeah, no, it's good, man. I just had a funeral about my grandparents last night. Oh man, that's crazy, man. I just had a baby last night. So now we're engaging about his family and his family. So now it's more natural. Now it's coming up more into something that would be a real conversation. So first, write, rewrites. and then at least with the 5 choreographies, 5 choreo, practice.
Rehearsals are super important.
Oh yes. And yeah, I mean that was the first time I did rehearsals because when we did Nightwing was, I reached out to Eduardo. I was like, yo man, I need to do more choreographies. That's all the time during COVID. So literally for 6 months we didn't do nothing, from Chico to Nightwing. We did nothing. So at least that during that time it was a little bit slow, and you know his friend, they always hang together. So I'm like, okay, they're always hanging together. So they know each other, that they're both safe. So they know each other's habits. So they're both safe to be together. And we said, well, he's gonna have a mask, and even the guy's gonna have a mask.
Yeah, they both do. Right? Yeah.
So we're like, well, let's do it. Let's have fun with it. And you know, on the spot, we started choreographing it. I'll say I'm not gonna bring lights. I'm just gonna get a feel of it and then see from there. So that way I can know. It's not about getting the brain to start thinking like that, because once you have lights, you can't do it. You just can't move around. You have to. We already have to know what's gonna be
continuity, right?
Yeah, and you can't tell your light people, oh no, let's go back here.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a pissed off crew.
Yeah.
So we did that. And you know, so the first time was with you doing the whole 5 choreography, because I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's get into the habit of that, because that's the way it's done. But even professionals do that. So who are we to say we don't need practice? We're just gonna shoot threes.
Hey, we're professional here.
Yeah. This whole fixing on pre, we don't fix on pre. We enhance on pre. You fix it on. I'm sorry.
In post.
Don't
fix
it. We don't fix on post. We enhance in post. We fix on pre.
Yes.
And well, with that being said, know that there's a lot of things that don't happen accordingly on their production, but at least you're prepared enough to quickly act out. So.
Exactly. Yes. Be as prepared as you can so that you don't have to fix too much in post. Basically, that's the general rule, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Very little fix. It happens, but don't plan for it. All right. I fixed in post before. I fixed in post before. There were some things we had to fix in post in Berserker, but there were some things I couldn't control. Not with the limited crew that I had due to COVID. There were some things, continuity, that didn't really match, but in order for me to get that, I had to get a different shirt. Here I had to wash out and do that. So, you know, when we saw it was noticeable, we're like, hey, Skinner, can you put some blood on the shirt? Thank you. So we did fix in post.
Some sriracha.
But you never plan it. Yeah, some sriracha. We put some sriracha on post. But never plan for fixing in post. If you plan, it's like if you plan to fail, you're going to fail. Mm-hmm. So never plan to fix on post.
Post. Yeah. Posts. I like. So for someone that is just starting out and they are really inspired, they want to make either a fan film or their own original content, and maybe they don't know where to begin. They are just learning. They may be like, I don't have the right camera equipment, different things like that. What kind of wisdom can you give to them, or your Yoda advice can you share with them?
Sure. I mean, so I don't want to discourage anybody from making a film right now. If you feel you need to make a film right now, sometimes taking the leap of faith can go a long way. So
absolutely,
and I'm not going to say no to that. But if you do need to make a film right now, then don't worry too much about the logistics. Don't worry too much about the quality of the camera, lighting, everything else that involves as far as overall production value. Concentrate on your storytelling, camera movements that convey a good, pretty much the story, because the camera movement is a lot, especially if you're dialing in when something's happening in somebody's head. There's a lot of film essays that you can watch. One of them is not every frame is a painting, so I definitely recommend that.
You showed me that. That's awesome. Check that out.
It's really good. At least they even did one on a chair, but check it out. Definitely a good start with film essays, because as a director, that's pretty much all you're doing. You're doing is emotion. So work on that. That's if you need to do your film right now. And again, leap of faith can go a long way. So kudos. if that's the route you want to go. If you don't, if you want to pretty much work on quality, then go for it. Don't worry about the end outcome when it's not 100%, because there's a lot of moving parts to film, and even as a professional, some things doesn't go accordingly. So just be mindful that this stuff doesn't work out the way it is. You did it, awesome. You learn from it, move on, and evolve. But there's two things about that. You can reach out to people like camera operators, cinematographers. Hey, I'm looking for a crew that this and that. There's a chance that they may say yes, and there's a chance that they may say no, because it's, to them it's a valuable work. So if you're just starting off and they don't know you, like they know you, you're just somebody who called or a friend of a friend, they'd be like, no, I'm not gonna invest my time on that person individually. But sometimes there are people like, you know what, let's do it. It sounds fun. If you really have a good idea, check it out. Another one is to, most importantly, and even if you do take the leap of faith and do it, still do this, and that's build relationships. Go to check to see around if there's a film community around you. Like here, we got Filmgate. Check to see if there's a film community, and just fucking throw yourself in there and start engaging the conversation with them, seeing what they need. Tell them, hey, I would love to learn. I would love to help. Let me know what you guys need. Start getting into that circle or circles, and start learning from them. Start getting pretty much what term I'm looking for?
Like momentum or getting connections.
That and also start getting your hands dirty and helping out.
Learning hands on.
Learning hands on. There we go. And then eventually you have a good relationship with these people. It's like, hey, listen, I have a project. I would love to have you guys on board, and they will be more than down to help you out. So, and that can take a couple of years. Just know that it could take a couple of months. Depends, how hungry and availability these people have within that circle, or, how much are they willing to say, hey, I like your project, let's do it. So there's a lot of ways. Sometimes just asking somebody can go a long way, and taking a leap of faith can go a long way. But yeah, just know that nobody owes you anything.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, nobody owns you anything. So if you take the leap of faith today, I'll take the leap of faith today, and say I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna ask people, and they say no. Don't take it hard. Prove to yourself and to others that you are something that is worth working with, investing in, and not only as somebody who could be a really important professional growth, but a friend too. Because if you are somebody who could be a professional growth, but you're an asshole, what's the purpose of working with you? So those are my recommendations.
So make sure you learn how to tell the story really well. Storytelling is key. Building those relationships, right? And
100%.
that it takes time to build anything. And if you want to build something of quality, it may take time, and developing those skills from making the film to the skills of working with other people. I think that can take time as well. And yeah, I think that's really good advice, that doesn't matter what point in your career you're at, or even if you're a filmmaker, or maybe you're an actor, or maybe you're a writer, I think those are the keys. Build those relationships. It is a give and take, and it does take a village to make a
100%.
film. So, and treat your village well. And yeah, so thank you for that. Well, one last question that I have for you, because I know that you, and especially your other half, Stephanie, are super big Baby Yoda, aka Grogu fans. If I came to you and I was like, I want to make a fan film about Baby Yoda, what story would you like to tell about his life?
So I know Disney's gonna cover this eventually, but how did he get there? I think it could be, and what would be good about making that short film is that there's 1,000 possibilities on how he got there. So yours may be different. Yours may be a unique twist to it. That's one story I would definitely like to tell. And I'm trying to think, maybe because I'm looking from a different perspective. I never thought about that. What perspective would be interesting? Besides something that it is going to be told. Because eventually Disney's going to cover how he got there.
Right. I don't know, maybe you'll like think of something later on and be
Yeah.
like, you know what? Like
Any
I'm gonna make
proper animatronics out there
Yeah.
who are down? Let's know. Because I would like to not do 3D, do how
Right.
even Disney's doing it. You know,
Yes.
Which is animatronics.
Yes, absolutely. Should we bring Baby Yoda on the show?
Oh God, where is he at? There he is.
Okay, he'll chill with me here. Well, guys, you heard it. That was Jonathan Delgado, the creator of Geekvised and all things awesome in the geek community and filmmaking. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yellow gang gang.
Yes, gang gang. And Baby Yoda says what's up. And cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you for watching The Tea with Jenny.